listen. But that's what the vision was, I guess. You did this across multiple international locations, didn't you? There might well be a slide that backs this up, Chris, that I've not got displayed. Should I display it, or do you want to take the screen and show it, or?
I can step through these. So this slide really gave an idea across the different. So BIG has a set of 14 principles that guide what is business integrated governance, and those principles are distributed across a number of different domains. So things like data, information, accountability, governance, etc., and of course strategy at the top end there. And so I had a look at this from the point of view of what were the high priority things that we felt needed to be addressed in terms of these governance principles, looking back on this case study and how would I interpret that. And then in the implementation that we went about, which of these did we directly address and which did we indirectly address, and were the ones we didn't address. And so I've illustrated here the pain points, if you like. So under data, the data not being necessarily consistent or reliable, so consistent in the way it was collected or in the frequency of which it was collected, and not having a lot of common standards and processes for managing projects or collecting that data. And so under the data, we had two key things we needed to address. And in the implementation, we went ahead and looked at building templates and standard tools and templates, so standard PMO type things, looking at improving project management and also looking at improving the way that we were getting data available for governance, etc. And reporting on this, so building up the information and reporting and automating a lot of that, so that, and making sure that so things were rolled up consistently. If we calculated overall percentage complete, it was done in a consistent way across all portfolios, etc. And making sure there were some independent ways of verifying data, looking at accountability, and looking at sponsorship. So sponsors were fairly much there, but the key was to make sure they had the right kind of data in that right sort of governance environment more than anything else. And in terms of governance, it was very much about getting that consistent data, consistent standards for how to look at this and how to review it as much as anything. Not that the practices or the people weren't there and the skills, but just to make sure that the system was correct in supporting that. And again, in terms of the strategy and the ideas of plans, etc., were all there. What we wanted to do was, what we had to do, we felt, was to just improve the governance, the data available for that. And so the focus directly was on all of these darker areas and principles in governance. And we felt that indirectly we would also be addressing the independence, accountability, and the sponsorship by getting a lot more clarity and standardization in the governance process. Sharif, if you want to add anything, please just jump in.
Yeah, as it's in any big organization, we also faced a lot of challenges in implementing these. One of these is the accountability of things. I mean, They, of course, want their own independence. They want to do things on their own, but eventually they have to listen to the group, because we are consolidating things into a central point where you started. For example, we have a billing system. That billing system will run from a central location, and which will be accessed by different opcos. So they cannot change things by their own. So there was a lot of resistance at this stage, and as usual, this will be ironed out by making them understand the necessity of becoming a single unit as an organization, and from there, the culture, the other aspects of the organizational behavior started, spreading out from the central point to various opcos. So there were glitches and resistances and things were there, uh, but because we address those things, and those things are not skipped away from our attention because of the overall framework that we put in, and that framework actually helped us to capture the whole things and take actions at the necessary point of time. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I think I want to stress that there was a lot of stuff working well within this organization, and this was just all of these things here were around the governance, and most of them just stemmed from not having the right data in the right place at the right time. And not because people weren't trying, but just because the tools and the processes were there to support them.